We're sending more people to Minnesota, it seems. There are about 20,000 ICE officers in total, I believe. They've already sent 2,000. It looks like they're sending around 1,000 more. Kristi Noem, what do you got for us? Let me guess, you're going to double down.
You've also been criticized for your comments. The shooting, we should note, was Wednesday at 10:37 a.m. Eastern. Just over 2 hours later, the Department of Homeland Security put out a statement definitively asserting what had happened, defending the ICE agent, accusing Renee Good of domestic terrorism. That's a characterization that you reiterated in a press conference half an hour later. Now, Republican Senator Tom Tillis said, quote, "It was very unusual to have a senior law enforcement official to draw a conclusion about an event where the scene was still being processed. Generally speaking, law enforcement would recognize that a life was lost, that families are changed forever, the shooter's life will change forever. We're collecting video. We're trying to assess the situation." Why did you not wait for an investigation before making your comments?
This is not the first time Tillis has said something like this. Didn't he criticize Miller over similar behavior? I know if Masaigu was here, he would immediately confirm or deny my suspicion on this because he was talking about it. But Tillis basically keeps saying, why the f are you guys being so obviously evil? Like that's been his bit lately. He's like, this is stupid. You could be less obviously evil while still getting the same stuff. Like why do you keep painting a target on your back?
Everything that I've said has been proven to be factual and the truth. This administration wants to operate in transparency. I have the responsibility as the Secretary of Homeland Security to know this information as soon as possible. Had just been in Minneapolis the day before, had already had conversations with officers on the ground and supervisors and knew the facts and decided that the department and the people of this country deserve to know the truth of the situation of what had unfolded in Minneapolis.
But with all due respect, Secretary, the first thing you said was, quote, "What happened was our ICE officers were out in an enforcement action. They got stuck in the snow because of the adverse weather that is in Minneapolis. They were attempting to..."
Why does she look like a fucked up bird? Hey, never forget what she used to look like, man. That's got pixels. What doesn't have pixels? How do I reduce the number of pixels? She had that like 90s hair or whatever. Man, why does this one also have pixels? What the f? They say they're high-res images. Ugh, there we go. She used to look human. This also boils down to the pedophilic tendencies of our oligarchs, you know? I'm telling you, okay? No sensible human being would do this unless they thought that you're unfuckable after you turn like 30 or something. I don't. That's crazy. The fucked up thing is she looked nice too. I mean, her hair is very like 1980, like could use an update, I guess. Like what the man? Well, anyway.
Push out their vehicle, and a woman attacked them and those surrounding them and attempted to run them over and rammed them with her vehicle. That's not what happened. We all saw what happened.
It absolutely is what happened. Those officers had been out in enforcement action. A vehicle had been stuck. They had come to help get that vehicle out. That's when this individual started blocking traffic for minutes and minutes.
You said that the woman attacked them and surrounded them and attempted to run them over and ram them with her vehicle.
There really is no point in doing this unless you just have the video up on a screen and you go through it frame by frame and you're like, look at this. That being said, the fact that the administration has decided to dig their heels in on this, a situation where they're so obviously in the wrong, is so good for us. Can you imagine, like, it's like the Epstein thing, right? It doesn't actually matter whether the Epstein files lead to Trump getting impeached or whatever. The point is that everyone's talking about something that looks really, 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 really bad for them. The more this gets brought up, the more likely it is that somebody actually goes and watches the damn video and then they're like, you know, oh, shit. Like Trump did, remember? Remember Trump watching the video for the first time with those New York reporters and he was like, oh, that was so funny.
Blocked the road for a long time and was yelling at them and impeding a federal law enforcement investigation.
Yelling at them, man. Her last words were, go ahead, I'm not mad at you.
That's what you need to focus on, Jake, is they were breaking the law by impeding and obstructing a law enforcement operation. They were breaking the law already, and these officers were doing their due diligence and what their training had prepared them to do to make sure they were handling it appropriately.
You said within hours of her being killed, you said that she was a domestic terrorist. How do you define domestic terrorist?
She weaponized her vehicle.
Couldn't it also indicate they're feeling bold enough to push their base even further? It doesn't work. The position of the MAGA majority has already been, we should kill anyone who we disagree with. This is not moving the needle for anyone else. There is not a single human being in America who wasn't right-wing who is being moved to the right because of this. A lot of people are getting pushed very far to the left because of it. Massive radicalization in the other direction. This is the exact opposite of the playbook that you would normally want. Even the Nazis understood that if you're going to radicalize your population towards, xenophobia or anti-Semitism or whatever, you need to choose like the best targets for it, right? Like the Nazi government was not playing up a big show of like this Jew deserved it and it's like a regular ass lady and they're like, yeah, she did nothing or whatever. Anyway, yeah, she was the worst of them or whatever. Like they understood it's a common playbook that authoritarians have been employing for literally hundreds and hundreds of years. You find the worst possible example of the group that you're trying to demonize, the one that you can provide the best evidence against, and then you broadcast it 24/7 everywhere all the time. But the fact of the matter is, nobody's ever killed an ICE agent. Like the only time an ICE agent has ever actually died in the process of pursuing a suspect was when they had a heart attack. So they don't really have many examples to go off of to play up the terror and violence of the far left. They don't have a lot to work with. So they're stuck with this. And this is so far the highest profile police killing since George Floyd. And this looks, again, I'm not trying to compare two bad bitches, but like for a wide variety of reasons, mostly down to the fact that George Floyd was black and a drug user, this looks worse to a lot of people. It just does, It's the worst possible thing for them to be committed to defending, but they have to. They have no way of moderating this,
To conduct an act of violence against a law enforcement officer and the public. They are doing that.
How can you assert with certainty that she was trying to hurt the officer as opposed to she was trying to flee the scene?
If you look at what the definition of domestic terrorism is, it completely fits the situation on the ground. This individual, as you saw in the video that we released just 48 hours after this incident, showed that this officer was hit by her vehicle. She weaponized it, and he defended his...
The one where he didn't get hit, and then he called her a bitch after murdering her. Yeah. That one that made him look real good. That was a real smart one right there. Should have edited it more. It's so bad for them. It's so bad for them. Not to mention, like, the smart line for them to take here, if they really had to defend this was a tragedy caused by this woman's panic, but you cannot panic in the face of law enforcement because it causes confusion. That would be a consistent line they could settle on. That would probably have been relatively defensible. Not morally, obviously it's still murder, but like defensible rhetorically. Like they would have been able to stick to that. And even that sucks. Yeah, of course. No, that's not right. That's still a lie. But they're so evil that they can't even do that. They can't even accept a moderate position. They're legitimately trying to convince the American people this woman was a domestic terrorist. Insane. Impossible. But they're trying anyway. Is this actually making people be anti-Trump? Have you seen like any social media on this? Have you seen any videos, topics, whatever? People are insane over this. This is huge. This is the single largest like tidal wave of antipathy directed against the Trump administration, maybe with the exception of the Epstein files, but that's kind of like a, apples and oranges situation since the second term took office, or since he took his second term in office. It's huge.
Life and those colleagues around him and the public.
The question is, I don't doubt, my position is, I wasn't there. I didn't see it. Some people say that it clearly showed that she was trying to hit him and did. Some people say, no, she was clearly trying to move her car and flee and get away. I don't know. What I'm saying is, how do you know? How can you assert?
I hate Tapper. Yeah, I fucking despise Tapper. Tapper is a massive piece of shit and 100% a collaborationist. So, I mean, I guess it says a lot that even he seems like relatively rational compared to her. But yeah, no, I'm not going to ever defend him.
For a fact, within hours, before any investigation, this is what happened.
The facts of the situation are that the vehicle was weaponized and it attacked the law enforcement officer. He defended himself and he defended those individuals around him. That is the definition. When there is something that is weaponized to use against the public and law enforcement, that is an act of domestic terrorism. It happened in our shores. It happened here in our country.
It's literally not, of course. Obviously, it's not. Domestic terrorism is just an act of political violence directed against civilians for political reasons, not just any bad thing that could ever potentially happen to any police officer. It is not domestic terrorism for like a random person to like, resist arrest. So what ICE did? What ICE is doing is objectively an act of state-sponsored terror. That's not an exaggeration. That's definitionally true. They violate the law over and over and over again as part of a terror campaign against regular civilians. We see that every day. Yeah, they are domestic terrorists, and they should be treated as such. by being arrested and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
Get to change the facts just because you don't like them. We will continue to look at this individual and what her motivations were. We know that there was, throughout that morning, she had harassed and impeded law enforcement operations. That raises the suspicion level with all of these law enforcement officers as far as paying attention to what her capacity is. And as you see on the videos, and they've proven out, that this law enforcement officer took the action that his training prepared him for, and he worked to make sure that he could save his own life and those around him.
How can you assert that there's no ambiguity in this before any investigation has taken place?
I had just been in Minneapolis and had been with those officers, had seen what they were facing on the streets every day, and had talked to their supervisors as soon as the incident happened and had gotten the facts and seen videos before I ever went to talk at that press conference. And the Trump administration and President Trump is the most transparent and open government that we've ever had. Give the public...
They're so stupid, dude. Genuinely, they're so low IQ. It's what happens when Trump prioritizes loyalty over everything else, you know? They're so bad at, like, again, the Miller is smart but too angry and too hateful to hide it, and JD Vance is a midwit, but he's too blinded by his own desire to appeal to the intellectual sensibilities of people like him, right? Like he can't just say the stupid thing. He has to, like, own it. Remember when he admitted that he was lying about the Haitians eating pets thing? When he was talking to the press and he was like, sometimes you have to make up stories to draw attention to a real issue. Like, he can't, he's too self-conscious. Very, very dumb. Very, very, very dumb. Anyway, yeah, Kristi Noem's a idiot. You run into the dialogue tree almost immediately. No one gives a shit about, no one fucking cares about the, like, transparency shit. After Epstein? Come on, dude. They're in violation. They haven't released like 80% of the Epstein files. They just stopped.
Information, give them what they need to know about a situation so they can have the truth as soon as possible.
So if this agents were perfectly fine, if everything he did was accurate, does that mean that other ICE agents should
He
look
wasn't
at what...
perfectly fine. He was injured. He went to the hospital.
No,
He
his
was
actions
treated.
were fine. I didn't say...
In fact, I think a lot of people and guests, and even you yourself, called this situation something very different and untruthful about what it was, as far as...
What did I say that was untruthful?
That this was not a correct definition of what was happening on the ground.
I said that your description, they were attempting to push out their vehicle and a woman attacked them and those surrounding them and attempted to run them over and ram them with their vehicle, is not what we see on the videotape, and it's not.
It absolutely is the facts of what happened on the ground that day. They were there pushing out a vehicle earlier. They had helped each other.
But that's not what you said. That's not what you said.
Yes,
they were pushing out a vehicle.
Absolutely what I said. There's not one thing.
We all seen the video. I don't need to relitigate it. We've all seen the video. She is blocking the street. They approach her.
You haven't seen the video of the entire morning and the previous encounters with this individual.
Oh, we have aired it. Yes, we have. On Thursday, we were airing and noting the fact that she was there for several minutes. For minutes and minutes and minutes, she was protesting without question.
And at previous locations that morning, that these vehicles had been previously down the block on video that you haven't seen. There's more information that this individual was impeding law enforcement operations throughout the previous moments and hours before this incident
The question is, what was she doing when she was moving her car?
She's actually Pam Bondi levels of incompetent. The only difference between her and Pam Bondi in terms of competence is that Kristi Noem is hateful enough to do her job. Like, Pam Bondi clearly just wants to... She should be at the club. Pam Bondi should be at the club. Honest to God, she's done so little in the administration. When the trials begin, just give her, 8 months probation. I genuinely don't give a shit. She looks like a scared doe every time the camera's on her, man. But Kristi Noem is hateful. That's the difference between them. The hate drives her where competence doesn't.
That's the question.
Is why are we arguing with a president who's working to keep people safe? Why are we arguing with law enforcement operations that have gone on in this country for years, and we're working to collect murderers and rapists and drug traffickers and fraudsters off the streets of Minnesota, and we don't have local law enforcement and local elected officials that are partnering with us to help do that work? Overwhelmingly, the people in this country said they wanted America to be safe again, that they didn't want dangerous criminals on our streets. I would encourage the elected leaders in that city and in that state to work with us so that we can do our operations without the kind of opposition and people that are conducting and perpetuating the kind of violent rhetoric that we're seeing today.
DHS policy authorizes use of deadly force only, quote, when no reasonably effective, safe, and feasible alternatives appears to exist. Could he not have just gotten out of the way?
Which he did, by the way. He did. He wasn't in front of the car.
Individual and this officer is a highly experienced law enforcement officer. He has years of training and specialized training for these types of situations. We're grateful that he's alive. It's a tragic situation, and we're going to continue to work on the investigation into the individual and find out what the motivations were behind her actions that day.
We're grateful that he's alive, too. I want to play this moment from the officer's cell phone video.
Yes.
Get out of the car. Oh! Fucking bitch.
Is that Agent Ross's voice calling Renee Good a fucking bitch?
I can't determine which one it is.
It's genius, dude. They're so dishonest and they're so incapable of taking the L on anything. You could ask them any follow-up or clarifying question. They will always falter every single time with no exceptions. Like there will never be a point where they'll be like, yeah, he shouldn't have said that. They're not capable of it.
Is, but it could be, sir.
Could be, possibly.
In June of last year, Agent Ross had his arm pinned in the back window of a car as an undocumented immigrant who was a criminal drove away from a traffic stop. It dragged him about 100 yards. Here's what Vice President Vance said about the incident this week.
That very ICE officer nearly had his life ended, dragged by
If
a
only.
car 6 months ago, 33 stitches in his leg. So you think maybe he's a little bit sensitive about somebody ramming him with an automobile?
If this is relevant, first of all, it's horrible that happened. If it's relevant.
Didn't happen, by the way. I'm just calling it, I just assume everything they say is a lie, so they're probably massively misrepresenting it.
Which the Vice President seems to think it is. Do you think this understandably very traumatic event that this officer went through last June might have influenced, as the Vice President is suggesting happened, how he responded?
Now, there's no indication to that, but the facts is that we've seen vehicles weaponized over 100 times in the last...
Totally incoherent. It's reasonable to assume that the officer would be especially upset because he'd been dragged behind a car before, but also there's no way it affected his behavior. Or, in other words, how could you have expected him to act any other way because of the past event, but also the past event couldn't have affected his behavior now?
Several months against our law enforcement officers. So they definitely know that the threat is real, that individuals who are trained by activists to go out and to impede their law enforcement operations will weaponize their vehicles and try to run them over and drag them and not stop. So they certainly go into these situations with that knowledge that that could happen, and that's what their training prepares them for.
What evidence are you looking at that so many other people around the country look at and they say, it looked to me, her tires were turned to the right, she was moving her car, and they see a woman trying to flee. You say she was trying to kill the officer. No investigation has happened. Why are you so certain that your interpretation is the truth when an investigation hasn't even happened?
Jake, I'm watching the videos.
Other people
I'm talking
watch
to
the
officers.
videos
I'm getting
and
the
coming
facts.
to a different conclusion.
Everything that we've stated as the Department of Homeland Security and this administration has been factual. And I wish we would talk factually about what we see every day from these protesters, what they do, what they say, how they...
She's so stupid, dude. Why would she even do this interview? Genuinely, why would you? She didn't have anything here. There was no bit, there was no bite, there was nothing new or novel. It was like this, you're just opening yourself up for humiliation. There is a 0% chance of this moving the needle to the right and a very, very good chance of it moving it to the left. Why do it? Like, past a certain point, you have to just stop doing interviews.
Chant over and over, kill ICE, attack law enforcement, how they're trained to perpetuate violence against them and to stop the work that they do every day. Each of these law enforcement officers takes an oath to protect this country.
She's just there to gloat she can lie and nothing can be done about it. I don't think that's true. I think you're assigning way more triumph to them than is warranted. I guarantee you that the people in the Trump administration who are making real moves right now are very, very frustrated. They've been failing on like every front. Nothing they do has been moving the needle the way they wanted to. I know it's tempting to imagine that the people who are crushing you beneath their boot are like deriving some sick satisfaction from it. But the disappointing reality is that on average, the people in the Trump admin are probably less happy than you are. It's like Elon Musk, right? Elon Musk is obviously a wretched person who probably would have taken his own life were it not for the ketamine addiction sometime in the past couple of years. Honestly, it could be any day with him. He's very unstable, right? He's a miserable person. I imagine they're all like that. J.D. Vance is clearly miserable, getting ratioed by Connor Reed's pants every goddamn morning. You know, Stephen Miller, anytime a camera's on him, he's not well. Clearly not well. And Trump is clearly frustrated that in spite of the fact that all the people around him are telling him that he has an 85% approval rating and that everything he's doing is working, every time he goes outside or interacts with the media, he seems frustrated and confused that people don't accept the fact that he's fantastic. Like, all the polls are telling him he's number one.
Uphold the law. They go out every day and enforce the laws of this country to keep people safe.
They're not
so these
happy
individuals that are out there harassing them while they do.
Tulsi Gabbard might be happy, but only because she's not doing shit. You know, she's experiencing aloha or whatever.
That work, doxing their identities, threatening them and their families. It's unacceptable, and that's why President Trump is so strong in supporting their operations in all of these cities.
The officer appeared to have fired 3 shots, the first one through the front windshield, the second and third through the side window. What is the justification for the second and third, given that the officer was out of harm's way?
You're watching the same videos that I am, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're watching the same ones, so you see how quickly the situation unfolded, how the officer was in front of the vehicle when she sped off, how she ran into him.
Did you... Dude, the dialogue tree, man.
And how he had to take quick action based on his training to defend himself and his colleagues around him.
Once he's out of harm's way.
That's very clear and factual from the videos that you can see. It's nobody's interpretation.
Again, literally, like, what is the point of doing interviews with the media if you know you're wrong and also you don't even have a way of lying convincingly? There's like video from 1,000 angles on this. It's really, really tough to justify. George Floyd was much easier to justify. Part of it being, of course, racism and the fact that he was a drug user, but at least there was the ambiguity as to whether or not the knee press on the back of his neck was what actually killed him. I mean, it was, but like, that's a potential ambiguity. There's no ambiguity as to whether the bullets killed Renee Good, you know? Like, it's just an insane hill to die on, man. Even CNN's having a rough time justifying it. Well, CNN's not going to justify this. Nobody's going to... Dude, I've seen... even Fox News has been like, on this, you know? Even Fox News has been like, I don't know, guys. Like, genuinely, if you look at the way their pundits... It's not all of them, right? Like, Jesse Waters will say anything. But if you take a look at the way, like, even relatively right-wing pundits are talking about this, they're moderating the behavior a lot compared to the administration. It used to be Fox News was a lot more aggressive than the White House. Now, they're not. You know why that is? Because the people in the White House know they're on the clock, and the people in Fox News don't think they're on the clock. The people over at Fox News still want to have their jobs 20 years from now. The people in the White House, the cabinet members, the admin, they're aware of the fact that they are running out of time on this one. Trump's going to slip on a banana peel or something's going to happen, but like, they are very limited. They're trying to get as much done as they can as quickly as possible. You all get me. People chase Border Patrol out of Target, St. Paul.
All these f***ing bums. What are we doing? F***ing bum. You're a bitch. And if your wife is out, probably too. You guys are all bitches.
You can't do shit to me. You can't do a thing to me. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out. Nobody fucking wants you here. Right, get the fuck out. Walk the fuck out, you stupid bitches. Get the fuck out of here. You dumb. The fuck out of here. You fucking coward. You're a fucking coward, bitch. You're a fucking bitch. Hold on, baby. I'm on the phone with these bitch ass niggas. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here, you stupid bitches. You're a fucking coward piece of shit. Fuck you. And if you didn't have a gun or a badge, I would beat the shit out of you.
This is also woke 2. We count this, you know? Woke 2 gets to be a big umbrella because woke 1 was like having blue hair and having a Tumblr account. Woke 2 includes every guy in South LA who has ever said that he would beat the fuck out of a cop if it wasn't for the gun, you know? Woke 2 is a wide tent. We're all... It's a big happy crowd.
Take that f***ing badge off. And that fucking gun and see what happens to you. You shut up. Stop. Man, I'm fucking tough. You're a bitch. Get the f*** out. You pussy. You fucking bitch ass white boys. I'll fucking spit on you. Get out of here.
Oh, he did it. He protected the target. God bless our patriots.
Stay back. Whoa, 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 whoa. Stay back. Fuck off. Stay back. Easy. Easy. Back up. Fuck off. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here.
All right. Getting a little noisy for me. I think I get the sentiment. The needle's moving. Look at that, man. Support for abolishing ICE when contrasted with the same poll being conducted on January 8th, 2025, 1 year ago. Oppose 50%, support 42%. Over the span of a year, support for abolishing ICE went from 25% to 42%, and opposition dropped from 61 to 50. This means that at this point, a majority of Democrats support abolishing ICE. Obviously, Republicans will not move on this. The most we could reasonably hope for is like a 65-35, but I think it's more reasonable to hope for like a, probably like a 55-40, 55-35 at most. It's not going to go lower than 35 to oppose abolishing ICE, especially considering that most of the like ICE antipathy has been in the past couple of days. Yeesh. This Ford Fisher individual is capturing a lot of stuff. Everyone's so damn loud, man. Never been to a sporting event? I have, and it's also loud there.
Get behind this fucking car, everybody!
If you're overstimulated, they're overstimulated. Okay, last one. Yeah, we'll finish it with this one, okay? Because this one's the best by far.
Pussy! Fucking pussy! Fucking pussy! Yeah, fucking pussy!
God, it's good. Oh, man.